All right, everybody, on behalf of Trident Title, Performance Title, and Synergy Title, I want to welcome you guys back. Hope everybody had a good 4th of July holiday weekend last week. Missed everybody. Time to get fired back up. Those of you that came to our in-person training on Wednesday, the 7th, thank you guys for being there. Got a couple of fun things lined up like that before the rest of the year. So hope to see you guys there. Today, we're going to talk about scripts. We're going to talk about exactly what to say in today's hot market. So I have 9 scripts that I've put together for you guys, different than some of the ones that I've used in the past or that we've done script classes on in the past. These are all really focused on issues and things and objections that are coming up today. I want to make sure we get them out to you guys. So write them down or take screenshots. They will be up in I will put the scripts up in the private Facebook group after the last set of these classes that I do. So I have a couple of these that I'm doing this week. So they'll be up there in a couple of days, and I'll tell you guys how to get on that group if you're not a part of it already at the end. But without further ado, let's dive in. Today, our agenda is strictly scripts. We're not going to do anything besides scripts. We're just going to talk 9 scripts to help you succeed in today's hot market. It shouldn't be too long of a class today. I'll definitely have you off before 12 because we're just going to actually read some scripts, talk about them, and kind of dive into them. Most of you guys I know by now. Those of you that I don't, my name is Ryan McHugh. I work with Trident, Synergy, and Performance to help all of our realtors grow their business. So all that we ask from you guys is that if you are on these calls or if you're coming to our events or coming to any of our classes and there's anything that you learn, that you take, that you turn into some business, that we get the opportunity to earn that business from you guys. So if there's anything we can do on the deal side, let us know. We have a lot of our great folks that work with us on the call. Dave Ward up in the North End, Melissa Kidwell up in the North End, Tracy Cinder, kind of the nomad, bounces all over the place, Gab in Wellington, and of course myself. So let's dive in. I want you to write this down. Some of you guys that have been to my classes in person or heard me talk about this before, I say this all the time, but I want you to start with this because any script class, I feel like one of the things that people really get wrong, not only on the instructing side, but also on the learning side or the attendee side, is 2 things. Number one, we're going to talk about 9 scripts. They're written out word for word. I don't expect everybody to spend the rest of their life memorizing these 9 scripts. The goal is that you get the idea of these 9 scripts and you internalize them and make them in your own words. So if you hear me say something that you don't think you would say, or that doesn't necessarily make sense to how you talk or how you speak or who you talk to, that's okay. Don't feel like you have to say it word for word if it doesn't make you feel comfortable. Remember, they're not going to be reading from the paper. They don't think it sounds canned or salesy or whatever because it's just coming out of your mouth. So adapt these things to make it, sound like you and who you are as a business person, but just as a human. And of course, I just want you to remember the most important phrase: some will, some won't. So what? And next. What's going to happen with a lot of these scripts is I know we're going to get into them, and some of them are really short and some of them are a lot longer. And some people are going to be rolling their eyes saying, oh, that would never happen. And you're right. It will only happen on the times that it happens, if that makes sense. But if they hang up on you, 3 words into the script, I just want you to think some will, some won't. So what next? And if you get through the whole script, then usually you're in good shape, close and keep pushing. So let's dive in. We're going to start with the easiest one and then work through some fun. So the first one is just a gauging interest script. And this is something that everybody should have in the toolbox. And if you don't like this one, you want to switch it up a little bit, it's all good. I just want to give you the idea. But all of you guys should have some sort of a gauging interest script in the toolbox. That is just something that you ask people all the time, right? If you were at my class on Wednesday, one of the little gauge interest scripts we did and we tested it on the room right at the end, it was number 21. It was just asking people what their real estate plans are for the rest of 2021. And this one is somewhat similar, right? So this is all you're going to say. All the blanks are just simple fill in the blanks, right? So, hi, this is Ryan with XYZ Realty. Is this the homeowner at whatever, 123 Main Street? Prospect, yes. So the seller, yes. What can I do for you? And this is just nice and simple. You're going to say, great. The reason for my call today is because I have a buyer looking for a home in your neighborhood that can close in less than 30 days. And if it's 45 days for you, write it out, whatever. I can close in less than 30 days. I was just wondering whether or not you consider selling your home if you had someone already lined up to buy it in as-is condition without cleaning, showing, or doing any open houses. So this is a very basic script that you would circle prospect with. The goal is just to figure out if there's any interest there at all, right? And if they've made it through the end of you asking that, you're usually going to have a great response from them that really moves them forward in your database, because they're either going to say, really one of a few things. No, I'm not leaving here unless it's in a box. We hear that one all the time, right? Where the people are saying they're just not moving till they're dead. That's their final home. And great. Then we can put in the database, they plan on dying in the home, check in on them once a year to see if they're still alive. The next option is no, I'm stuck here, or I'm here for a fixed period of time because, and this is usually something like, no, I'm here because I can't move for my kid's school, or I can't move because of work, or I can't move because of this or that, right? So then again, we kind of move them forward and we figure out when that's ending. So if they say, I can't move until my kids are done with school, you're going to say, great. When is your youngest kid finishing school? Summer of 25. Awesome. I'll check in with you before then, because there's a good chance they're going to move, right? Or you might get the maybe, I wonder what it's worth, or maybe how much you think I could sell it for. That would be a common answer here, right? You ask them, if I had a buyer looking for a home in your neighborhood that can close in less than 30 days, and I was just wondering whether or not you consider selling your home if you had someone lined up to buy it in as-is condition without cleaning, showing, or doing any open houses, they might say, maybe, how much? Right? And that's an opportunity to say, well, I'd love to get into your house and check it out, and I can give you an exact number. What works better for you today at 2 or tomorrow at 4? Right? Or the one in the million that we're hoping for is, yeah, we just had that conversation last night. We're interviewing realtors, right? So most of the time you're going to get the no because, or you're going to get the maybe, depends on what I could get, right? So very, very basic script here. Super easy to write out. Just make sure you have this in your toolbox, something like this that's a gauging of interest script, because when you do have that buyer that's ready to go and you have a lender having them pre-approved and they can close in 30 or 45 days, this really makes the potential seller, the current homeowner, think, because we're telling them, A, we have somebody lined up already, B, as is condition, so they don't have to fix or do anything, C, they don't have to clean, D, they don't have to show, and E, they don't have to deal with doing an open house, right? So 5 things that sellers like. Or don't like, I guess 5 things that sellers don't like, right? That if you can solve that problem, makes it easier. Number 2, this is for the old FSBOs or the old expires. This, I like this one because you're kind of, hitting on a pain point. This one's a bit longer, right? But we'll work through it. So, hi, my name is Ryan and I'm a real estate agent with XYZ Realty. Am I speaking to homeowner Joe Smith? Yes. Great. I'm glad we were able to connect. Real quick, I was driving through your neighborhood, right? I was driving through whatever subdivision. So I was driving through Smith Farm and noticed your for sale sign had been up for, and we want to rub this in on them, right? If they're an old expired, if they're a FSBO, we want to say, I've noticed the sign has been up for, 6 months, 22 days and a year, whatever. Or you're driving through and you notice that the listing just expired and you just want to see what's going on with it currently. Right. So if they're an expired, they're going to say one of a couple things. We're listing with the same agent. We're interviewing new agents. We're not selling anymore. We're FSBOing, or hang up. Right. Those are the only answers that they can give. And if it's a FSBO, they're either still high on their horse of, yes, I'm a FSBO and I'm going to do this myself, or it's nothing's going on. We haven't really had any traction, or we're starting to get frustrated. We're thinking about giving up. So the prospect, the potential seller, is going to say one of a couple things, right? The current agent isn't cutting it, or the past agent isn't cutting it. Maybe their efforts are failing. If they're a FSBO, they're not getting any traction, and any one of those things is good. And we're going to say something that just kind of teases them a little bit, right? So I'm sorry to hear that. For some people, this market has been really tough, while for others, it's been absolutely crazy. Let me ask you, when you put the sign in the ground, if it had sold in one day, where were you going to go? And they're going to say one of 3 things, because they always do. Something about family, something about money, or somewhere away from people or away from an area. And you're going to say, I can totally appreciate that. Thankfully, I've been able to help my clients get more than they ever expected to get for their home, usually in under 30 days. Would it be worth 30 minutes of your time to see if I can get you to whatever they answered above in 30 days? And they're going to say yes. And you're going to say, great. Does today at 2 or tomorrow at 4 work for you? So this is the FSBO and the expired, where we're leaning on them, trying to find the original motivation to sell the house, and then testing their interest to see if they're ready to go. And sometimes here they're going to say yes. Sometimes they're going to say no. And sometimes they're going to say, which is what they normally say, I'll give it X more days, weeks, or months before I hire a realtor. That's usually what happens, is they'll say, well, I'm not ready to hire a realtor yet. My plan was, if it's still sitting on the market, by the end of July to interview agents, in which case you're going to check in with them, once a week or every other week until that time comes, and then get on that short list of people that are actually still following up with them to be able to get that interview and getting that back. All right, the third script. This is a forbearance one, and this one has a lot of basic information, but it's important that you know this. And that you're having this conversation. Some of you that have been into my recent classes, we've been talking about making forbearance content. And I actually saw one and screenshotted it this morning because it was someone that came to the class Wednesday and actually put it into action since Wednesday, which made me happy. So congratulations. You know who you are if you're the one that's doing it. I don't want to blow up your spot. So this is you saying, hi, is this Joe Smith? Yes. Great. This is just a check-in call. I know you. However they got in touch with you about forbearance, you're going to fill that in here, right? So either they filled out a form, they clicked on an ad, they went to your website, they contacted you from a video, whatever. I know you filled out a form about forbearance, and I just want to see what I could do to help you. Where are you currently at in the process? And they're going to say whatever the heck they say, and it doesn't matter. And you're just going to ask them, great, are you looking to stay in your house, or did you want to explore the other options? So we're just trying to find out, do they want to keep this house, or do they want to get the heck out, right? Because this is an important a turning point of which direction that we send them. And they're going to say whatever they say. And you're going to say, great, I can understand that. In reality, you really have 3 options here. And I want to lay them out for you. One is to stay and hope for some sort of a loan mod or pay up, or the mortgage company to hook them up, or tell them it's okay, whatever. Number 2 is they're going to stay and try to do some sort of a refi. So we're going to connect them to the lender. Or number 3 is they're going to sell and they're move on. And that's you. What they're all going to say, or most of them are going to say, is that they want to stay and they want to do number 1 or number 2, some sort of a loan mod, some sort of a refi. The good news is when you connect them to a lender, the lender is most likely not going to be able to refi them because they've missed payments. Then they're going to call the mortgage company, and the mortgage company most likely is going to want to work with them and say, sure, I don't blame you for wanting to stay in your house. You're $6,500 behind on escrow. We'll tack it to this year's payments. It's another $600 a month. Are you good with that? And most of them can't afford that, right? Or they're going to say you're $6,500 behind, just write us a check. And most of them don't have that, in which case they're going to come back to you. So whatever they say, the first call or the first touch, you're really just trying to inform them and get them connected, right? Their 3 options are, no matter what, is talk to a lender, talk to their own mortgage company, and talk to you. And you've already solved the talking to you part because you're having this conversation. But realistically, most of these people are going to choose 1 or 2 first. And when 1 or 2 fail, then they're going to go to number 3, which is you. So you're going to explain all 3 of these to them and then refer them to the appropriate person. If they have a lender, great. If not, connect them to whoever you use. Tell them to reach out to their mortgage company second, because that's usually what's going to happen. And then if not, have them call you, tell them to call you back, and they're most likely not going to call you back. So you need to set your follow-up where if you tell them this and have this conversation today, you want to make sure you have your follow-up set for 2, 3, 4, 5 days down the line, so that you make sure you get in on this early, because that lender is most likely going to tell them you either need to pay up or you need to sell the house. And if they don't have the money to pay up and catch up, they need to sell the house. So we want to make sure we capture that. All right, next, the would like to sell, meaning I as a seller would like to sell, but I can't find anything. This is happening pretty often. And I actually saw someone else handle this, or I heard, it was audio. I heard someone else handle this objection and loved it. So just spun it a little bit and put it together for you guys. So the prospect is telling you, yes, they'd like to sell their house. So they said the hard thing, right? What we all want. They said, yes, I'd like to sell my house, but it feels like everything is selling so fast right now, and I'm worried about where to go or what to do or anything like that. So you're going to sympathize with them, right? Yes, that completely makes sense. So what I hear you saying is that you want to sell, and you want to stress on that, right? You want to take a break. I probably should have put sell in caps and then put 300 little dots, but you're going to say, so what I hear you saying is that you want to sell. You're driving in the head that they want to sell, and then you're going to take a break and just relax for a second. And if we could remove the other obstacles, you'd want to move forward, right? And they're going to say yes, because they've already told you that they want to sell. So we know that they want to sell, but their obstacle is they don't know what to buy. So we're going to just try to calm them down on this issue and say, that makes sense. Why don't we do this? Let's get you listed on the market. And because it is such a seller's market here in Jupiter, I can probably protect you with some clauses around making your sale contingent upon you finding something that you love in X number of days. And while it might be a bit of a struggle because we're going to do so well on the sale of your existing home, why don't we agree to let the overinflated pricing buy you out of the inconvenience that you might experience? I'm going to be here the whole time helping you with every decision and never leaving you feeling like we ended up in a bad place. Does that make sense? If we could do that, can we move forward today, or would you be willing to move forward today? So what you're trying to convince them of is A, sell the property, right? Make sure it gets listed. B, only take a contract on their terms, which is possible. And then help them understand that now is the time for them to get out and leverage the fact that the market is overinflated a bit right now. Let's make sure they make the most amount of money that they possibly can and have that outweigh the inconvenience. Right. So this is something that could work. You're just trying to remove that objection. This works for everything, by the way. When someone, and later we're going to talk about another kind of version of this, but when someone says, oh, I love you, you're a really great agent, but Joe Smith down the street offered me 5%. You're going to handle that as, by saying, great. So all I'm hearing you say is that everything looks great and we would sign today. Your only hurdle is the 5% commission. And if they say yes, then you find the way to handle the 5%, then you're done, right? It's listed. So you always want to just isolate whatever those objections are. There might be one of them, there might be three of them, there might be five of them, but whatever they are, if they say, I really want to sell, but I have to paint the door and clean the pool and I don't know where I'll go and your commission is too high, you're going to say the same thing. Great. So what I'm hearing you say is you definitely want to sell. However, there's four things hanging you up. One is painting the door. Two is cleaning the pool. Three is your commission. And four is not knowing where I'm going to go. And then you're going to go down the list one at a time and handle those objections until they feel comfortable with it and then move on. You just always want to isolate that objection because they're basically telling you it's a yes if you can handle those things. So you want to be able to figure out how you handle them. All right, next, number 5. This is a popular one, right? They're saying, I want to price it higher now because the market is crazy and reduce it later. So the seller says, I want to price it higher. You could always just reduce it later if it doesn't sell. And you're going to say, I understand that. There's a difference between in the market and being on the market. And what that means is that we're looking at the data, right? The average days to sell in your neighborhood is. So you need to know this. So something like Trend Graphics or a lot of research in the MLS is going to say the average days to sell home in your market is 7, whatever. Let's just say we list it at the price that you're saying. We're overpriced at that moment. And I understand we can get offers and we have a little bit of wiggle room. So that's good. But let's just say we wait 21 days and we don't have any offers. Now we do a price drop. And then when we wait until 45 days, we do another price drop. And now we're finally at the market value. But what do you think the odds are of getting a full price offer on day 45? What do you think people are going to think about your home? So actually, by overpricing your home, you're going to lose money in the long run because you're on day 45. So the odds of getting a full price offer are very slim. And of course, you're carrying the property. You could use our app and tie in the little carry calculator. In addition, people are going to think something is wrong with the property. So why don't we do the right thing, list it at the right price so you can make the most amount of money, get your home sold in the next 7 days, because we already know the average days to sell in their neighborhood is 7 days. Number 6, you don't have enough experience. I thought this was an important one because I know we have some new agents on the call, right? Or some new agents that jump on some of our stuff. So you don't have enough experience. So the seller, the prospect says, you're great, but we need an agent with a bit more experience to sell our home in such a tough market. Little do they know, they don't right now, right? But truthfully, experience breaks down to truly understanding your needs. You see, I need to know why you want to move. That is what's most important. Next, you need to understand why you think certain parts of it are most important to you. So what's most important to them? This is to say that maybe the price is the most important. Or maybe having the easiest way of showing it is the most important. Maybe it's the smoothest closing, the fastest closing. You're going to tell me these things. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is present you with a plan and how I think we can accomplish those things. You see, when you tell me that you're not 100% sure if I had enough experience, I think what you're saying is, oh, I don't really feel comfortable yet that you're the right person to shepherd me through this process. And that's fair. So what I'd like to do is spend the next 20 minutes convincing you otherwise, because after all, this isn't about my experience, it's about yours. It is about yours. And then you're going to ask them a question. So what is it that's most important to you about selling your home? Is it getting the most amount of money? Is it getting out in the least amount of time? Is it having the least amount of stress, the smoothest closing, finding where to live first, right? You're going to find all these other things out and put those in there first. Number 7, this is a second version or a different version of someone saying that they want to overprice, right? We did I want to price it higher and drop it later. So a little different version. I know that inventory is low, and regardless, this is the seller saying, I know that inventory is low, and regardless of what you think the property is worth, I want X dollars for it. And that is what I will be getting. Now, keep in mind, right, a long script like this or a long paragraph like this, again, you're not going to get every word of this out. I just want to get all the ideas out there. So you read it, start reading it, start practicing it, drilling it into your head so that when it does come time and you hear this, because you will hear this, right? I'm hearing this every day from agents that they say this is what sellers are saying, that you have enough of these things in your head to be able to answer back right away without being stumped. So the seller says, I know that inventory is low, and regardless of what you think the property is worth, I want X dollars for it, and that is what I will be getting, period. And you're going to say, yes, that would be nice, but we don't control the market, which is the truth, right? It's the comps that are going to support the market, and the comps show that your house is worth X. So let's talk a little bit about the pricing. You can overprice a property, but you can never underprice it. If you're too high, you're going to sit. You're going to miss out on this crazy market. If the market perceives us as a good value or priced really well, guess what? You're going to capture and broadcast the audience, and the market is going to bid it up to where we want it to actually be, or where it should be. And of course, in today's market, over where it should be, right? It's just like how water seeks its high level, right? It'll just pop right up. The way that we get the best price is by pricing it close to or at, or maybe even slightly below the market. So when the buyer walks through the door, they are going to feel the urgency, and the urgency is what causes them to put the pen to paper. And that's what's going to give you the leverage. Because the more people that walk in the house and say, oh my God, this house is not going to last, we better hurry up. Right then, they're going to actually write offers, and we'll have multiple offers and get to call the terms. That's how we create urgency. And that's why you don't want to overprice the property, right? So you're better off talking them into underpricing it or pricing it at market value and letting it run up. And if it doesn't run up to the number that they want, of course, they don't have to take the offer, right? They don't have to sign, but grossly overpricing it is what's going to make it stick on the market. And the last, year or so, anything that's been priced within 5% of being right has been good. But just these last couple of weeks, we're starting to see inventory tick back up a little. It's not rapidly coming back, but it's tipping up a little bit. And you are starting to see some of the stuff that is just grossly overpriced sitting around. Now, could that ever sell? Maybe. And some of those people don't actually care and don't want to sell. They just put it on the market at a ridiculous price and said, listen, I don't really want to sell, but if I get what I wanted plus 10%, of course, sure, I'll sell. So I think we're going to see some of those come off the market and inventory kind of adjust, but you want to make sure you understand this. And that key line or the key thing in here is telling them that they can overprice it, but they can never underprice it, right? In whatever markets you guys work or wherever you serve or wherever you have a farm area or whatever it might be, what I want you to think is if you went in there and priced the home at $1, right? Obviously, it's going to be under the price of the market, but it's going to drive itself up over and above what the actual market value is. And this is just how it happens. It happens like that all the time. But if you price the house, let's say it's supposed to be 100,000, you price it at 300,000, the house is going to sit. If you price it at $1, it's never going to sit, right? It's the old kind of eBay bidding theory. That's why things like eBay attract more money for things all the time than when people put something in a store and get bid down. So same kind of theory that you just want to always be thinking of. You'd rather them underprice it, give it a week to give some buzz and let it overprice itself than overpricing it right off the get-go, and sitting around, especially as we're just slowly starting to see the market start to correct. I still think we got to run here, but it is interesting how it's starting to trickle back towards normality. All right, number 8, I'm not signing a contract. Be surprised how many times we're hearing this right now out there, because people are saying either A, they want to do it themselves, or B, they don't want to tie themselves down to one realtor because they feel like right now is, the hottest market and they want to take advantage of that. So the question is something along the lines of, why do I have to sign a listing agreement? Want to keep my options open, right? And again, these are just some things you want to make sure you have in the toolbox. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I completely appreciate that you might not want to sign a contract today. However, you know that most every seasoned professional signs a contract with you, whether it's an attorney or an accountant. They all have a contract in place, and that's extremely important because it allows us to be able to support you and actually allocate our time and effort to be able to serve our clients the best we can. Without a contract, doesn't mean much. There are other clients that I've asked to work in this fashion, but I decline them because my value proposition to them is so strong with our consistent communication process, as well as our proven process for listing and getting houses sold. So whether you're considering trying to do this on your own or just without a contract, I would advise you to try to not think that way, because the right professional in the field that you're looking in, whether you pay for it now or you pay for it later, you are going to pay for it. And number 9, last but not least, and then we'll open it up to some questions and we'll talk about how we can share these scripts. Number 9 is the good old infamous commission cutting. There's so many different ways to handle this, right? One of them is always getting back to the seller's objective. 2 is going to their net. 3 is using something like our app and showing them the difference. 4 is using stats, from NAR to show things like that FSBOs usually sell for a lower price than with a realtor at a normal commission. But here's just one of 8 million options. Seller, I'm willing to sign a contract, but why can't we do it at 3 or 4 or 4.5 or 5 or whatever a discount is considered to you, right? Because everybody does things a little different. Mr. and Miss Seller can appreciate that you're looking to walk away with the most amount of money. And that's obviously my goal for you as well. And here's where you want to say, is that correct, right? Or very similar to how we talked about earlier, isolating the thing. You always want to throw things in there like you do want to walk away with the most amount of money in your pocket, correct? And we're always just going to leave them on that because the answer is obvious, right? The answer is always yes. See, the more money you make, the more money we all make. Honestly, the agent who's representing the buyer is going to receive 3% of the commission or 2.5%, whatever it is that you offer out, which leaves us with the remaining 3%. Now, what most people don't know this. However, 1% of the commission goes to the broker. So whether someone is a broker, owns a brokerage, is part of a brokerage, they have negotiated fees for office licensing and so on. Even if you're at 100% company, right, you have fees. So it can be it goes to the transaction fee. It could be, it goes to the brokerage. It goes to my technology, whatever. You have cost of business to actually be in business. Then I personally spent 1% marketing your home because we both know that the strategic marketing plan is what's needed to find the one buyer who's willing to pay the most amount of money. Then that leaves 1% for my business's profit and my family. Now, if someone cuts their commission, what do you think they're cutting? Of course, the marketing, because they're not cutting out the broker, right? And can we agree that the right marketing plan is key to finding the one buyer willing to pay the most amount of money, which ultimately would lead to that amount of money in your pocket? So let's go ahead and sign the paperwork so we can get you the most amount of money. And then the prospect says that they love you. We always want to be, of course, fighting for our own money. But I will tell you, in the most case, if you go in with a strong presentation and you leave money and commission to last, about 50% of the time, it doesn't even come up, right? There's always going to be the people that are trying to be the discounters or undercut you. That will never go away. That will always be in the market. There will always be, Walmart, and there will always be Nordstrom's. There will always be Kia, and there will always be Ferrari. Those are things that are not going to go away. So just be okay with that. So in summary, we covered 9 different scripts here today. All of them are things that are happening regularly in today's market, which is why I wanted to cover these things. So again, I'm going to throw these on our Facebook group after I'm done with Tuesday's class, because I do this somewhere else Tuesday. So I have some mixed people in the group. So we'll throw those up on the Facebook group Tuesday. But what I want you to really remember is that I don't expect you to go out and learn 9 pages of scripts overnight so that you can make calls, tomorrow. But I want you to make sure that you have these things, these ideas in your head. One of the things that we used to do that worked really well is we would get one of those big, like trifold, almost like science fair project looking boards. And when we were making calls, if we were calling the same set of people, let's just say we're going to call expireds, we would write all the objections across that board that expireds would come up with, right? So let's just use expireds for real. They only have a couple objections. When you call them, one of them, they're going to say, I'm using the same agent. One of them, they're going to say, we're interviewing new agents. One of them, they're going to say, I'm not selling anymore. One of them, they're going to say they're selling themselves. And one of them is like, we're taking a break and we're going to fix some things in the house, whatever. There's really only 4 or 5 things that expireds ever had. So we would take the big science fair looking, trifold diorama thing, and post up all the objections with bullet points. So if they say one, let's just say they said, I'm listing with the same agent, you would have 3 or 4 bullet points that you want to make sure that you get out. It didn't have to be word for word, but the important things to kick back when they say, I'm going to use the same agent, right? So like one of the standard ones is, I can totally appreciate that you want to use the same agent. But Mr. Seller, let me ask you this. Have you ever heard of the definition of insanity? No, or yes, whatever they say. Great. That would be this doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So if you hire the same agent, what's going to make you get a different result? I'd love to interview for the position to sell your house. Are you available today at 2 or tomorrow at 4? Right? We'd have those bullet points written out so we can make sure that we hit them. Same with these scripts. Some of these ones that are a page long, if you're not practicing them regularly and kind of burning them into your head, you're not going to remember all of them. And of course, you aren't going to, be able to perfect all of these things. So Crystal said, where's the PowerPoint or document that you're reading from? It's nowhere yet. Most of these things are usually they're just in my head, to be honest with you, but you can kind of write them out or print them out. What if someone says, I will be using my friend who is a realtor? 2 different ways to handle that. One is some will, some won't. So what next, right? Almost everybody has a friend in real estate. But the other thing to do is say, Tracy, I can totally appreciate that you want to use your friend in real estate. Let me just ask you this. How good of a friend is this person? And they're going to say, oh, I've known them for 20 years. And you're going to say, great. One of the things that we find in real estate, that a real estate transaction is one of the most stressful things that people ever go through in their entire life. And a lot of times when friends or family members get tied into this and they start working together, as soon as something goes ugly, the seller is going to look to blame the friend and the friend is going to look to blame the seller. And when these 2 people kind of attack and clash each other, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is that friendship is going to be spoiled or maybe tarnished or maybe even destroyed. And we wouldn't want to see that. So I'm sure what you're trying to do is be a good friend and make sure that your friend gets paid. So here's what I'd like to do. I'd love to work with your friend because she might know some of the good things about the house, but I'd like to take on all the painful things, all the tough conversations, the one that you don't always want to hear from your friend because you want to keep that friend or you want to keep that family member. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to call your friend, tell her how loyal you are as a friend and that you're really making sure that she gets paid or he or she gets paid. And I'm going to send them a referral fee. And tell them that, look, they don't even have to work on the file at all. I'm going to give them a nice, generous referral fee. And that way you guys can maintain your friendship and I can get this property sold. And at the end of it, if it goes bad, you and I can just, cut bait and walk away. No harm, no foul. But if it goes bad with your friend, I wouldn't want to see you lose your friend of 20 years over real estate commissions. That sound good? It's today at 2 or tomorrow at 4 work. And when I get there, make sure you have your friend's number so that I can give her a call. All right, if you want the scripts, again, you have to join the private Facebook group. They're going to go up either Tuesday or Wednesday when I finish this class across some of our other brands. It's a little tough to see on the bottom there, but the Facebook group, if you're not already in it, is Ryan McHugh, my name, Real Estate Trainer Inner Circle. If you search that on Facebook, it's a private group. You have to request access. I will go in and based on the attendance today, everyone that was here, I will give you access to that. We do some scripts and giveaways, and I always have my schedule in there for where I'm training or what I'm doing. So if you ever want to get to any of our events, that is the best place to be. Thank you guys, as always, from Trident Performance and Synergy. If there's anything we can do to help you guys on the title side, please let us know. Carrie, thank you as always for the slides. They look great as per usual. Thursday, 4 o'clock, Better Call Paul. We are doing the different kinds of deeds. We're going to talk about all different kinds of deeds with attorney Paul Krasker. Next week, I'm not sure if we're off or on yet. I'm going to be out of town for a couple of days. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get on, but the week after we are already set. The 26th at 11 o'clock, we're doing the riches are in the niches. The riches are in the niches. We're going to talk about different niches in the real estate world to help you guys kind of get ahead and plan your year. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Hope you guys learned something today and got something out of it. I will talk to everyone soon. If you have any questions, feel free to stay on and I will answer away. If not, I will see everybody soon. Bye.